בשם השם נעשה ונצליח, שיעור תורה, ברוכים הבאים, שבוע טוב, חודש טוב. We are back here in Sunny Isles, Florida, doing our HaShkafa Yehudit, Jewish HaShkafa series. And B'ezrat Hashem, based on the Chazon Ish. If anyone could do me a favor and give me a different cup, there's a little bug in there. So the drink belongs to him. The Jewish HaShkafa, B'ezrat Hashem, is getting a lot of good feedback, Baruch Hashem. It's a clear understanding of what we're supposed to think, what we're supposed to do as far as our day-to-day life. And the Chazon Ish had a clear picture that he painted for us. Last week we talked about hearing. This week, B'ezrat Hashem, we'll talk about speaking. And B'ezrat Hashem give you a few surprises, at least one that I know is not going to be, it's not going to make anyone fall asleep, let's just say that. So, today's shiur, B'ezrat Hashem, will be for a refuah shlema for Rabbanit Levana Bat Sarah, Yosef, thank you, Yosef ben Levana, Rav Ephraim ben Shulamit, Rabbanit Sarah Bat Anat, David ben Esriya, Doris Bat Jora, Dvora Bat Mercedes, Yitro ben Avraham, Esther Bat Tzipora, Serach Bat Batya, Batya Bat Sarah, and all of Am Yisrael B'ezrat Hashem will have refuah shlema, refuat nefesh, refuat guf, and also actually a very, very special refuah shlema for a very dear friend, the Mezakeh Rabbi Magadol, and I think there's at least a few people that know he's probably the biggest in the world. Vimesh ben Noach. Kadosh Baruch Hu give him refuah shlema, refuat nefesh, refuat guf. Is Baruch Hashem a team of people right now that for the last couple of weeks have been giving out our CDs all over New York. The team grew in the last few days. A few other tzaddikim took the opportunity to help Am Yisrael do tshuva and thereby help themselves do tshuva, and join the team where they are taking some time every day. They get in touch with us, and we connect them to Chaim, who's leading the team over there and giving out CDs in different places in Queens, in Brooklyn. We have some given in Lakewood and several other places. Anyone that wants to give out CDs in New York area, New Jersey area, but wants to obviously take it seriously, not just 5 minutes type of thing, get in touch with us. We'd be happy to have your help. And as you all know, one of the greatest tools to fight the Satan is to do kiruv. Now, even though when you do kiruv, as I've told you guys in recent weeks, when you do kiruv and you help people do tshuva, you're declaring war on the Satan. At the same token, when you do kiruv, you're destroying your soldiers. So it gives you a lot more strength to deal with it. And it gives you a lot more siyata dishmaya in your learning, gives you a lot more bracha when it comes to parnasah, and most importantly, it clears out many of your sins. As the Zohar Kadosh Parashat Truma says, while everybody else has to go up to Shamayim and has to go in front of a judge, go in front of the Beit Din of Shamayim, and they're going to show you a movie of your life. What did you do? What did you not do? Where were you here? Where were you there? Shtabach Shemo, movie of your life. Hashem Yishmor v'Yatzil. May we never see a movie of our life. Now, Zohar gives us a chidush. What's chidush? Zohar says in Parashat Truma, you can check it yourself if you want, if you make kiruv your business, meaning, you do kiruv here and there, I donate $5 every few months, I give a few CDs whenever I get a chance. No, kiruv is your business, meaning you are trying to constantly be involved in kiruv. If you have a day job and you can't do something physically, then every month, like clockwork, you're donating your maasel or your chomesh to kiruv. Why? My whole parnasah, the whole reason why HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving me this parnasah is for me to publicize Torah. To publicize HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Torah, to return, to get his kids to come back home. You give your maaser, your chomesh, which is 20%, which the Gaon of Vilna says is really the guarantee to become rich in this life is only if you give chomesh, if you give 20% of your parnasah. And it's off the gross, not the net. Because after net, this generation, there would never be any maaser, because everybody lives above their means. Somebody gives their money to kiruv, or they don't have money. They don't have money, so they have time. Everybody has time. Everybody has 24 hours a day. Doesn't matter who you are. They dedicate their time. They go out there, they give out CDs on a regular basis. They go and make videos. They make flyers. They invite people to the lectures. They organize lectures. They make kiruv their business. Osek bezikui rabim, the Zohar says, in the Bet Din of Shamayim, they don't even look at you. Pass. Go. Winner. Go. Gan Eden. Go. We don't look at you. They're afraid to look at you. Why? He's one of the stars. She's one of the stars. This, Rabotai, if there was ever a get out of jail free card, this one is as good as it gets. So a few smart people are taking advantage of this because they know that no matter how many years you've been learning Torah, no matter how many years you've been religious, and so on, everybody's got a few things here and there they don't want to see in a movie. So this is, Rabotai, one of the things that you can get involved in. Like I said, whether it be financially or it be time-wise or skill, it's a very, very good investment. Best investment that it could ever be. Rabbi Yagin alav shalom used to say, people would come up to him, say, Kvod Harav, listen, I invest in this, I invest in that, I invest in this, but none of these things are going to help me in Gan Eden. I want to buy stock in Olam Haba. How do I buy stock in your Olam Haba? He says you have to invest into Zikui Rabim, into Kiruv. That's how you buy stock in Olam Haba. Why? Your house lets you buy 15 houses. What are you going to do with them in Olam Haba? All you're going to do is see other people live in them. You have 5 buildings with your name on it. Guess what? As soon as you go up there, they take your name off. Give it to the next rich guy. You have what? Wife, kids? Okay, wife, kids, Baruch Hashem. Husband, kids, okay, Baruch Hashem. What are they going to do? Nothing. What can you have for Olam Haba? Zikui Rabim, Kiruv. Why? Because this, Rabotai Karim, is an investment that never ends. Because every single time you give somebody a CD, you make anything that's going to help people do tshuva, and somebody does tshuva as a result of your efforts, that investment, even if you decide that you want to stop, that investment will never stop paying off. Why? Every single mitzvah he ever does, every single mitzvah she ever does, goes to your account also. So you're talking about an investment. I was in the investment business for 16 years. Never seen such a deal. Never seen such a deal. And it's important to know that when you get involved with such kiruv, there is a handsome reward in this world as well. Helps your parnasah, helps a lot of different things. So a few people are taking advantage of it, and I hopefully will have some more people do as well. But not just in the time aspect of it, but also in the investment part of it as well, as monetary investment, because again, we're already out of 100,000 CDs approximately. We have to already place the next order. We're going to try to order 500,000 CDs. Anyone that wants to invest in Olam Haba, this is where you go. Now, the Chazon Ish was a big Mezakeh Rabim himself. Helped a lot of people do tshuva. Till this day, we are doing tshuva because of his teachings. And you notice that all of the giant rabbis, the Gdolei Ador, were constantly involved in helping people return to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Sometimes they would do it with speeches. Sometimes they would do it with books. All types of things. But they toiled and toiled to make sure that their Torah didn't just stay in their own hands and in their own mind. Why? Because the Gemara in Masechet Avodah Zarah says somebody learns Torah but doesn't teach it, meaning is not a Mezakeh Rabim, it's like a person that doesn't have a God. Because the main purpose of learning Torah is in order to learn about HaKadosh Baruch Hu and emulate His behavior. The number one thing that you learn about HaKadosh Baruch Hu is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving. He never takes, he never gets anything. Nothing you can give Him. Other than helping His children come back home, there's nothing you can give HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Nothing. Your mitzvot's for you. Your Torah is for you. Eating is for you. Drinking is for you. Getting married and having kids is for you. Everything is for you. It's not for Hashem. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, the first thing you're supposed to learn when you learn my Torah is that I'm giving. First midah, first character trait you're supposed to emulate is giving, being generous. If you learn my Torah and you did not become generous with my Torah, that means you haven't learned anything. That means you learn my Torah like philosophy. You learn my Torah like science, like history. Hashem Yishmor V'Yatzir, you are somebody that's like a person that doesn't have a God. So here we see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu obligates us to be Mezakeh Rabim, to help people do tshuva. And again, doesn't require you to do kiruv as far as giving speeches. In fact, for the vast majority of people you'll learn today, it's better you don't speak. For the vast majority of people, it is highly recommended you don't speak. Not a peep. Why? Speaking is dangerous. Speaking is very, very dangerous. Why? Torah says to us, "Ocheach tocheach et amitecha velo tisa alav chet." Torah obligates us to rebuke our brother. Says you must rebuke your fellow, but don't come by way of sin. Meaning, you have to rebuke somebody if you see him do something wrong. Do something wrong. You see him driving on Shabbat. You see him going out with a non-Jew. You see her going out with a non-Jew. See him eat tarif. You have to say, listen, it's tarif. Not like tarif. You're a Jew. When did you become a goy? Well, you going to marry her? She's from India. She's not Jewish. She's from China. She's not Jewish. You're a Jew. You're not allowed to marry her. Unless you converted. Unless something I'm missing here. Because there's some people that are Jewish and look Chinese. And they are Jewish and they look, Muslim and all types of things. There are. All types, yeah, of course. So unless she's Jewish. No, she's not Jewish. My dear brother, you can't be with her. It says you have to rebuke. On the other hand, it says to you, don't make sins. What does that have one thing to do with the other? There's a way to rebuke. There's a time to rebuke. There's a time and a way to rebuke. And if you do it wrong, you're making a sin. And that sin, you can lose Olam Haba with it. Meaning, it's not for everybody. To rebuke, the same way. If I say something in a public lecture, it doesn't mean you can say it. Why? I'm speaking to the general public. I'm not looking at any one particular person and saying, you're a criminal, you're this, you're that. I'm not doing that. And when I do it, I mention them by name, and it's usually nobody in the room. Happened once there was in the room because the guy was a rasha, but otherwise, the person's not in the room. Usually it's rabbis. But I like to call them rabbis. Ra meaning evil, bai. But if I say something, doesn't mean necessarily you can say it. Doesn't mean you can't say it. It means you have to know the content fully and know when to say it and how to say it and who to say it to. Many times, new Baalei Tshuva come to me and tell me, listen, Rabbi, I love doing Tshuva, I like learning, I love everything, but ever since I've been doing it, I don't know, I keep fighting with my family. Every Shabbat I'm fighting with my family. Every day I'm fighting with my family. I said, why are you fighting with your family? So, because Rabbi, I don't know, I see my mom, she's doing this, and this wrong. So I tell her, Ima, what are you doing? It's no good. I said, which one of my lectures did I say, go tell your Ima to do this, and this? Which one? I said, well, you just said to rebuke when somebody's doing wrong. No, I didn't ask you if I told you to do it. When did I tell you to go tell your mother what to do? When? When did I tell you to go tell your mother what to do? Like that, like what you're doing. Well, you didn't do it like that. I figured I could do it. No. There's a way to do it. You cannot rebuke your mother. Why? You're 15 years old. You just got out of your diaper a few years ago. Maybe you still have diapers. She doesn't know. You cannot rebuke your mother. Why? You're 15. You're not allowed to rebuke your mother. You know what you should do? Go learn a few books about Kibbut Avayim, honoring your mother. And you'll understand that even if your mom was a zonah, you're still not allowed to rebuke her. Mamash. So what should I do? You have to learn how to do it. So how can I help her? You want to help her? Okay, now we're talking. You want to help her, not rebuke. Okay. This is how you do it. Ima, there's something amazing. I want to watch. What? I want you to watch it with me. What? I don't know, it's this guy, it's a story. I want to watch it. Okay, let's go watch the guy's story. I'm hanging out with my son. Sure, I'm hanging out with my daughter for 2 hours. Sure, why not? Let's sit. Okay, did play. And I'm talking. There you go. That's how you rebuke. Why? You picked a lecture. You use your brain to pick the right lecture already that you know affects her because of modesty, because of immorality, because of this, and that. You say, Ima, let's sit down and watch this. And you watch it with her, and she hears the truth, and Baruch Hashem, it didn't come from you, it came from me. She says to you at the end, oh yeah, you know, it's nice, it's just not for me. Okay, no problem. You come back a week later, Ima, I got something amazing this time. What is it? You got to watch it with me. Okay, another 2 hours with my kid, why not? And you sit down with Ima, you sit down with Abba, and you say, okay, let's watch it, and you watch a lecture again together. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it is. Let them get the information from me. Why? Because they don't know me, they're not feeling personally attacked by me, and I'm not 15 years old, and I'm not their son, and I'm not wearing a diaper. So you have to understand, there are certain people you should not rebuke. Why? They're too close to you. And they will not receive any rebuke from you, even if you're right. Even if you're right. I learned this on my own skin. It's very hard. Very, very hard to see your brother, your sister, your cousin, your mother, your father doing different things that are wrong and not saying anything. Why? Because you want to help them. There's a way to help them. Many times, people do this, they make a mistake, you try to correct them, try to tell them do something else, give her a book, buy her a package, do something else that's full of books and CDs and so on. But you see that people like to fight. They want to prove everybody wrong. And that's why the Torah says, "V'lo tisal lav chet." Don't make your rebuke into one sinful behavior. Where you're really rebuking, not because you want to help them. You're rebuking because you want to tell people what to do. It's ego. It's ego. How do you know it's ego? It's not working. It's not working. Why? Because Gemara promises you something. Makes a promise. Kadosh Baruch Hu makes promises. Human beings also make promises. Only difference is Hashem keeps his promises. Says, how do you know somebody has Yirat Shamayim? Dvarav nishmaim. Someone has Yirat Shamayim, the words he says, people listen to them. He says something, people say, okay. Okay. Honey, we got to go here. Okay. Honey, we can't do this. Okay. Guys, let's go. Okay. We got to change. Okay. Why? He has Yirat Shamayim. Their neshama knows he has Yirat Shamayim. Okay. We'll do what you say. Makes sense, don't make sense. Okay. If it doesn't work, your rebuke doesn't work, means you have no Yirat Shamayim. Means your rebuke is coming from ego. It comes from gava. Why? If it was working, then you know, Baruch Hashem, I'm doing good. I'm doing good to helping. I'm good to myself. If it's not working, I mean you have no Yirat Shamayim. How could it work if you have no Yirat Shamayim? She may not know what Yirat Shamayim is even, but her neshama does. Her neshama knows the entire Torah. So you have to know that there's a way to speak. And most people should not speak. Should not speak. Cause a lot of fights. But doesn't mean you can stay quiet. You have no permission to stay quiet. You have to rebuke indirectly. I wish I would have clarified this years ago, but nonetheless, it's never too late. It's okay, I didn't have as many people following me a few years ago. Today, Baruch Hashem, more people following, more people get the new advice. No one listens to the old lectures. So, 2 days after it's posted, it's like discontinued. First 2 days, Shtabach Shemot, thousands of views. A week later, oh, did you watch that lecture? No, it's old. You have anything new? What do you mean? I just posted it a week ago. Yeah, you have anything new, Rabbi? Anything new? Can't watch it live? What do you need to watch it live for? All right, live. Why? People are so fanatic about this live thing. Shtabach Shemo, I like them. It's good. These people are good people. But it's amazing to me why people care. If it's live on video or it's tomorrow on video, it's still video. Like you guys that are here, okay, I understand. Live is different. Being part of the lecture it's a very, very different. But being live video, I never understood that part. But I know it means a lot to people. And because of that, we made an investment to get better internet. We're going to try it again. We tried already. It's not the first time we're trying. We've been trying for months. We got devices from this one, I don't know, for some $300 device, $250 device, Mohawk, whatever it was, it didn't work. Then we tried something else, it didn't work. Now, Baruch Hashem, Sonny, God bless him, found something else, another $300 investment, and $100 a month. For anyone that wants to be a partner in the live shiurim, you could pay the bill if you want, $100 a month. Why? Because now, if it works, if the internet is good, Sonny's the internet good, Shtabach Shemo. Bezot Hashem will not open a mouth for the Satan. But internet's work, it's live, people watching live, they feel like they're part of the lecture. I don't understand it, but I'm not a fan, so fine. I don't even watch my own lectures. People tell me, listen, you said this, that. Wait up. Show me where. I said this, and this. Show me. I don't watch my lectures. I don't watch anybody's lectures. So anyway, we made an investment to help people learn more Torah. Some woman actually that made the one of the recommendations, one of many. Baruch Hashem, we get many recommendations every week from people. You know, every week we get recommendations. One woman told me that we have to change our posters to be more colorful. Another one told me we have to get better internet. But the one that told me about the internet, she actually invested. She invested a little bit of money to help with the internet. The one with the poster didn't help so much. Another one said to me that, how come you don't pick up the phone? I don't know if that was a recommendation or not. It was kind of like you rebuked me on the way here. How come you don't pick up the phone? People still don't get it. You know what it tells me? When somebody tells me, how come you don't pick up the phone? You know what that tells me? You don't watch my lectures. How many times did I tell you guys, don't call me? I don't pick up. There's 5,000 calls a day. I can't. Ribono Shalom, have some mercy on me. Have some mercy. If anybody understood what we do every single day, I barely see my kids other than Shabbat. There's no schedule. There's no night. There's no day. It's hundreds of questions every single day, hundreds of issues every day. It's so many people. I don't even want to tell you because it will be a just waste of time because people don't listen anyway. But the point is, don't call. Don't expect calls. Text message, WhatsApp is the best. Send a message with your question. I'll send you a voice note. Sometimes 5 minutes later, sometimes 5 days later. But nonetheless, I will return your message at some point. That's the best way, and at this point, practically the only way to communicate. I'm sorry if you want a personal phone call. I'm sure you deserve it. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. Why? Because in that phone call, it's going to take an hour, hour and a half. I can help 20 other people. Your blood is not redder than 20 people. It's not a personal thing. It's not an agenda. It's not a ego thing. Trust me. If it was about money, I'd call you. Call you. Say, listen, I'll talk to you for an hour, but it's $500 an hour. Or my old rate, $3,000 an hour. I'll talk to you. If it was about that, I'll call you. It's not that. There's just no time. No time. You want help? We can have help on Messenger. I have a few guys, even some people that are here in this room, send me 75 messages a day. Why? They have questions, and Baruch Hashem, they get answers. Do the same thing. Do the same thing. Honestly, I think that if anybody actually watched all the shiurim and paid attention, you wouldn't have any questions. Because all the answers are in the shiurim. But, Baruch Hashem, people like personalized answers. Anyway, Rabotai, the Chazon Ish tells us here that the Creator saw that the proper flow of life is impossible without contact between one person and another. And the world in which all people are deaf and mute is valueless and unsubstantial. That chaos would be better. The tohu vavohu. Meaning if we weren't able to communicate as we discussed last week, there would be no point to this world. Just like there's no point to the air conditioner in this place because it never works, there will be no point to the whole world if we're not able to communicate. Now, HaKadosh Baruch Hu made a machine that makes strange noises, and that machine is known to us as the mouth. On the other hand, he also made a machine that reacts to these sounds known as the ear. By way of the mouth and ear, language was created, and man became a living thing, a speaking being. As it's said in the Aramaic language, ruach mimalela. So last week we discussed how a person has to be very attentive to things that are being said to him. When you hear the truth, you cannot simply ignore it. You have to make sure that you pay attention to what the truth is, simply because this bit of truth can save your life. This bit of truth can be the one thing that influences you to go in a different and better direction for the rest of your life. Whereas if you ignore it, you could be losing your opportunity of a lifetime. Now, there was a person mentioned in the Torah by the name of Yitro. And Yitro was an idol worshiper of the worst kind at one point of his life, where he literally idolized anything. He tried everything out. As soon as he found out it wasn't good, wasn't working, tried something else. Tried the statue, tried Yoshke, tried Buddha, tried this one, tried that one, tried everything. Didn't work, kept trying. Then one day he hears about the God of Israel, Vayishma Yitro. Yitro says, that's it. Takes his Pope hat down, gives up the millions of dollars, gives up the position, puts his life on the line, goes to the desert to meet Am Yisrael. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was so impressed with Yitro's chasing of the emet and acceptance of it, that only by hearing about it, not even just by seeing anything, he didn't see the ocean split, but he heard that Am Yisrael is no longer a slave. So obviously this is not like some fantasy. It's not like, oh yeah, I heard this guy got extra panasah, so maybe I'll... No. He heard Am Yisrael is no longer a slave. That cannot happen outside of some miracle. That's the biggest miracle in the history of mankind. That the servant became the master. No other time in history, before or after, were slaves ever freed that way, where the servant, the slave, became the master. No other time. Even when other people were freed from their slavery, they weren't really freed. They were just sold to somebody else, or they ran away, but they were never truly freed, and not as a nation. But when Am Yisrael was freed, the whole world knew this is God. When Yitro found out, he reacted differently than everybody else. While everybody else was impressed by God, impressed by the God of Israel, Yitro says, no, it's not enough to be impressed. It's not enough to be impressed by miracles. It's not enough to be impressed by the wisdom. It's not enough. I got to do something about it. I'm going to put everything on the line to take advantage of it. He gave up his Pope hat, his $100 million. He gave up the house, and he put his own life on the line, because in that place, in that world, you can't just abandon idolatry. It's like the mafia. Once you're in, you can't come out. And that's why, Rabotai Yekarim, that's why when Moshe Rabbeinu met Tzipora, and then thereby later on met Yitro, it says that Moshe had to fight some people that were trying to kill Tzipora and her sisters. Why were they trying to kill Tzipora and her sisters? Nice, beautiful girls, try to marry them. Why kill them? Because their father used to be their pope. He doesn't want to be their pope anymore. I want to kill all of you. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu sent Moshe Rabbeinu to save them. So now Yitro says, I heard the truth. I heard about it. It's enough. How much did HaKadosh Baruch Hu love this? He gave the idea to Chazal to name the parasha that we received the Torah, Parashat Yitro. The climatic story, if you will, of the entire Torah is Matan Torah, that we received the Torah. That's the highest level of the entire Torah. We got the Torah. It should be called Parashat Matan Torah. It should be called Parashat Ar Sinai, Parashat Moshe. Something. No, it's called Parashat Yitro. Why? HaKadosh Baruch Hu is teaching us, if you hear the truth and you take full advantage of it, you're praiseworthy. You're worth something to me. You're worth something to me. And Yitro is worth a whole lot. So we see here, Rabotai, it's not just about hearing the truth, it's doing something about it. You hear a lecture, You hear the rabbi say that you have to keep Shabbat, that you have to be generous, that you have to do kiruv, that you have to be modest, that you have to take off the wig, burn it, and put a real kisui rosh on, like Sarah Imenu, and start acting like a Jew instead of a Goya. You hear these things, you got to do something about it. Watching the shiur for 6 months, a year, 2 years, and still nothing changes, there's something wrong with you. There's something wrong with you. Now, something should change after you hear a strong shiur. If nothing changes after watching a rabbi for a year or two, nothing changes about you, still the same thing that you started, something's wrong. Either with you or the rabbi. Either with you or the speaker. Has to be. It cannot be that you hear somebody speak for 2 years and nothing changes. Even if you hear Goy speak, you hear Mahatma Gandhi speak for 2 years, something has to change. You hear Hitler, Imach Shimo v'Zicho, speak for 2 years, something changes. You hear Tony Robbins speak for 2 years, something's going to change. Why? You're going to be impacted by the speech. I can tell you, I've told you this. It's funny, but it's just gives you the understanding of what the power of speech is. I've heard quite a few speeches from Hitler. I don't speak German. I don't speak a word of German. All I know is Dankeschön. That's all I know. I don't speak German. We have a German channel, but it's not me doing the subtitles. It's a couple of German tzaddikim that know how to, or guys that are Jewish, that know how to know German. I don't speak German. But there's, Baruch Hashem, many Germans, German Jews, they need to learn Torah. So, Baruch Hashem, we have a German channel. Now, when I heard Hitler, Imach Shimo, speak, I didn't need to know German. All I knew is, whatever he's saying, it's motivating. Now, I didn't know he's talking about killing me, and my grandfather, and my grandmother. I didn't know. All I know is I'm listening to this guy. Wow, this is amazing. This guy is exciting. This guy is passionate. Now, what would happen if Hitler, Yimach Shimo, was born a mute? Can't speak. You know what happened? No Holocaust. No Holocaust. Why? The whole Holocaust was inspired by a speech. The whole thing. He went from being a nobody loser to being a leader of a country that for a short while became the strongest country in the world. How? Speech. Talking. But talking in such a fashion that it inspired people to do things that were beyond their nature, beyond their norm, beyond their ability. People idolized him like nobody else in history, simply by his speech. Which means that if you're going to listen to someone for 2 years, something has to change, or there's something wrong with either the speaker or the listener. Now, I know the speaker, in this case being me, may not be the best, but I'm not the worst either. Why? There are too many proofs of people doing tshuva every single day to show that I'm not the worst. A few people say I'm the best. I don't really buy into that, but at the very least, I'll say I'm not the worst. Why? There's too many people doing tshuva, meaning it's working for too many people. Too many people are changing their life from these speeches, which means that if it's not working for you, it cannot be me. It may be that I'm not your vessel and you need to listen to Rabbi Mizrahi maybe, or to Rabbi Zitron, or Rabbi Anava, or someone, or Rabbi Aderet in New York, whatever. So one of these people, no problem. I may not be the vessel. But the point being here, you have to do what it takes to change. You have to do something about it. I can't do it for you. I can't change my speech for you because it's working for everybody else. So, on the other hand, the Chazon Ish tells us that if a person listens to the truth and acts on it, he becomes a big deal. If he listens to the truth and doesn't act on it, he loses the chance of a lifetime. When Avraham Avinu 3 days after his Brit Milah. 3 days after his Brit Milah, he was suffering, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu made it the hottest day in history. And Avraham Avinu, instead of suffering just the pain and anguish of a Brit Milah, he was suffering something else. He was suffering that he wasn't able to host guests. So Hashem sent him guests, 3 malachim. And those malachim were going to give him the good news that he's going to have a baby. Now that he has a holy brit, he's going to have a baby. Yeah, but he's 100 years old. So, who decides if you're going to have a baby or not? Hashem. If you have a baby, Hashem decides you're going to have a baby. If you don't have a baby, Hashem decides you're not going to have a baby. Why? You have to ask that. You have to answer that too. Review the Torah, review your actions, and see what happens. If you're doing everything that's in the Torah, then you go to serious Talmid Chacham and see, Chacham, can you help me? But if you're not doing everything in the Torah, start with that. If you're not keeping Shabbat, you're not keeping Taharat Mishpacha, you're not keeping modesty, start with that. Why? Because any real Chacham, that's what they're going to tell you to do. Keep the Torah, you'll get blessing. So, Avraham got these 3 amazing guests. Alvai Aleinu, that 3 angels come to our house and give us such b'sorot tovot. Can have another baby, Bezrat Hashem. We're going to destroy all of the Manis Friedmans of the world, Bezrat Hashem, and Sodom. You know, b'sorot tovot, Ishtabach Shimo. Send us b'sorot tovot. So, now, what would happen if, when these 3 angels came, Avraham didn't know they were angels, thought they were Arabs. Thought it was Mustafa, Ahmed, that's what he thought it was. Now, he told Sarah, go make cakes. And he told Ishmael, go get the cows ready, I need 3 of them. Why? 3 tongues. Each malach gets a tongue. Kill a whole cow just for the tongue to give it to these Arabs. Sarah, go make cakes. Now if Sarah was like, unfortunately, many of the women today, instead of saying, okay, I'll make the cakes, what do you say? I'm tired. Let's go buy. Order it. Let's go buy. You make the cake. Why are you bringing guests to the house? Did you ask me first? Did you ask me if you could bring guests? Well, it's your house only? You know, house, 10,000 square feet. Not taking the whole house, just a little room. Yeah, but did you ask me if you could bring guests? Okay, you don't want the guests, go hide in the house. No. Did you ask me if you could get guests? Why don't you go to their house? Sometimes. Yeah, but he's a rabbi. He wants to come. Did you ask me? Shem Yishmo. If Sarah Imenu Chas v'Shalom did such a thing, said, I'm tired. Guess what? She wouldn't be Sarah Imenu. She would not be Sarah Imenu. Hagar would be Sarah Imenu. She would not be Sarah Imenu. She said, I'm tired. One time in her life. 90 years old, she's right. She has the right to be tired, she's 90. She has the right to be, I'm tired, I'm not even half that age yet. I'm tired. All the time I'm tired. Not to be tired. Why? You have an opportunity to do mitzvah. You have an opportunity to do mitzvah. If she had an opportunity and she didn't take advantage of it, lost opportunity. Lost opportunity. And that's the same thing every single one of the women that you see in the Torah. Starting with Sarai Imenu, all the way to this week you have Shavuot, everybody reads the story of Ruth. Moment of truth. Moment of truth. Ruth's husband died. Orpah, her sister, her husband died. My dear friend says, the Gemara in Yerushalmi, Masechet Peah, says in the beginning, why did the 2 husbands of Ruth and Orpah, the sisters, die?
I won't leave you hanging. I'll tell you the truth. Gamabrit. That's why they died. They wasted seed. That's why Kadosh Baruch Hu killed them. Same reason he killed Er ve'Onan, he killed Ruth and Orpah's husband. That's why he kills people. You waste seed, Hashem says, I will kill you. Why? Because you're killing people. I'll kill your parnasah, and I'll kill your neshamat, I'll kill everything. Why? You're destroying your kedusha. Ruth had an opportunity to run away, be with Orpah, go hang out. Why? Naomi is poor, is old, she has no kids. What are we going to do? So Naomi says, listen, Ruth, you can go. Go with your sister. Orpah is going. Orpah said, all right, see you later. Ruth says, no. Your God's my God. Your people, my people. She took advantage of an opportunity. She could have said no. Could have said, yeah, you're right. You don't have a kid for me. What am I going to hang out with you for the rest of my life? We're going to socialize, go to Starbucks together? Yeah, go find a husband. I'm still young. Still beautiful. Ruth says, no. Truth is over here. I'm going to be here. The truth is over here. You know what happened? The Gemara Masechet Avodah Zarah says this. Ruth married Boaz, became the grandmother of David HaMelech, and lived long enough, hundreds of years long enough to sit on the throne right next to Shlomo HaMelech, our great-great-grandson, three generations later. That's how many hundreds of years she lived. She lived to see the Bet HaMikdash, Ruth. David didn't see the Bet HaMikdash, but Ruth saw the Bet HaMikdash. Ruth became the grandmother of the Mashiach. Why? Moment of truth. What happened with Orpah? Gemara Masechet Avodah Zarah says Orpah married 100 men, and she had a son from those 100 men. Who was that son? Goliath. Goliath. Who's Goliath? The arch enemy of David. David and Goliath, second cousins, or great-grandson something cousin. Some type of family connection. Why? Sisters. Ruth and Orpah. Ruth and Orpah. David became Mashiach. Goliath became garbage. Garbage. Only reason you guys know his name is because he was a giant that was destroyed. Many giants lived. But he's remembered because he got embarrassed for eternity. Because his mother embarrassed herself for eternity, being with 100 men. Her sister, Tzadikah Kedosha. Why? Moment of truth. Moment of truth. One chose Torah, the other one chose, no, I'm going to go hang out at the bar. I'm going to meet a nice guy at the bar. Meet a nice guy at the bar. She met a nice guy at the bar. And another guy, another guy, another guy. Every week, another guy at the bar, another guy. More. 100. That's what Gemara says. 100 bars. She went bar hopping. And forever, she becomes person you insult. Why? Look what the result is of your actions. Had an opportunity to be the grandmother of the Mashiach. Babkes. Why? She heard the truth, didn't act. Now, you see here, Rabotai, the significance of hearing and doing is huge. What about speaking? What about speaking? Now, the Torah tells us that speaking, Rabotai, is one of those things where it's bigger than anything else. Why? Sefer Mishle, Proverbs, chapter 18, verse 21, says, Mavet v'chaim b'yad lashon. Death and life is in the power of the tongue. Meaning, your next word, your next speech, your next reaction can determine life or death. How many times did we see people that are considered famous, politicians, celebrities, and the like, ruin their entire reputation that took 40, 50 years to build because of one stupid statement. One thing they said. Off, everybody hates them now. The longer you live, the more of these people you see. See these people build their careers, made a bunch of money, Hollywood celebrities, but all of a sudden, no one wants to hire them. No one wants to talk to them. Why? Yeah, he's an anti-Semite. Yeah, she said something against this. She said something against that. Yeah, but how does what she say have to do with how good she is as an actor? No, it's not about good or bad. I don't want to deal with her. I don't want to deal with her. Not for me. Not for me. And this happens, Rabotai, day in, day out. Someone says something, the public doesn't like it, and they rip him to shreds. So much so, there's an entire industry, a multi-billion-dollar industry, which guarantees people VENOM, that's built on this. It's called the news. What's the news? News is Lashon Hara in modern language. New Lashon Hara. That's what news is. They tell you bad things about anybody. Horrible things. Why? No one really cares about good things. You tell somebody, oh, this guy won the lotto. Maybe one time he'll show up in the news. For 2 minutes. But this guy died, that guy got divorced, this one cheated, this one robbed a bank. Oh, it's a news for 3 days straight. Bad news? No end. The president said something bad, on the news for a week straight, until he comes up with something else that's worse. Israel did such and such, on the news. How long? 2 or 3 weeks, until they do something else. The economy is bad, 24-hour network. Economy is good, yeah, we're going to go to different programming now. We're going to start a new animal channel inside CNN. What? How come when the economy was bad, it was 24 hours a day news? Economy is good, turn it to an animal channel. What happened? No one cares about good news. Bad news. Why? Sins. Exposing people. Exposing people in the worst way. I'm going to tell you a secret. Although everything I just said is 100% emet, and exposing people is a terrible thing, the whole news is full of filth, and you're not allowed to watch it, not allowed to read the news. There's a small secret. Sometimes it's a mitzvah. Sometimes it's a mitzvah to expose somebody. I'm going to bring that tonight. That's the present. It's coming soon. Now, how do we determine if the next thing we're going to say is going to be life or death? The Midrash Tanchuma in Parashat Metzorah says, if he merited to life, if he didn't, to death. Meaning, if he toiled in Torah and he merited to speak Divrei Torah during his life, then the Torah is called life. Torah is called Chaim. Then his speech will bring him eternity, life. But if instead of toiling in Torah, he did not toil in Torah, what did he do? He toiled in Lashon Hara. Then he's decreed to death. Not just in this world, but the next. Torah is very critical of people that speak evil tongue, Lashon Hara. If you notice, all of the isms were started because of the power of speech used in a negative way. Whether it's communism, or socialism, or Zionism, all of these isms. What were they motivated by? People don't know how to speak. Good speakers. If you're a good speaker, you could do whatever you want. Why was Obama elected to president? He didn't achieve anything his entire life. He doesn't have anything to speak of that's of value, that warrants him being a president. How did he get to be a president for 8 years? He's a good speaker. One of the best. Horrible human being. Fantastic speaker, though. Why? Speaks clearly and tells you what you want. Doesn't ask you what you want. He tells you what you want. Steve Jobs. Brilliant mind. But there are much smarter people than Steve Jobs. In fact, all of the people that actually put Apple on the map, you don't even know who they are. You know Steve Jobs. Why? Good speaker. Very good speaker. And so on and so forth. The speaker doesn't necessarily always have to be a person that speaks eloquently and with the right R's and the proper L. No, it's not that. It's just a person has to be motivating, inspiring, and give you a visual of what he's saying. In the business world, if you want to be a good salesman, you have to use a tactic called dollarizing. What's dollarizing? You have to make the other person start counting the dollars that they haven't made yet, but they're going to make with your help. That's what dollarizing is. How much money they're going to make, or how much money they're going to save. If you're selling a product that's going to save the money, you tell them, listen, with this product, you're going to save 20%. Guess what? You're not going to make any sales. You tell somebody you're going to save 20%, you're not making any sales. You're not going to make sales? Sir, how much do you spend on such and such? Wow, you spend $100,000 a year on such and such? What if I told you I could save you $20,000 off that bill for a cost of $100? Sold. What is it? What's the credit card? Why? Dollarized. I told them how much you're going to save. Making is the same concept. That's if you want to be a good salesman. If you want to be a Ben Torah, you have to be honest. You have to tell people the truth. You can't really do that in sales all the time. Why? Because you have a bias. You can be an honest salesman. Baruch Hashem, I always was. But nonetheless, I've never met people that could stay honest. Why? It's hard to stay honest and make a sale. So, the point is that when you're a speaker and you're motivating and you're inspiring, you can get people to do the things you want to do, but in reality, give them the feeling that they want to do it. And you could do a lot of things. And all of the people that you see that were great leaders, with the exception of Moshe Rabbeinu, were all good speakers. Moshe Rabbeinu, Hashem specifically says, he had a speech impediment. He had both a stammer and a stutter. One caused by birth, one caused because of something that happened to him when he was only a few years old, when Paro had gold on one side and hot coal on the other side, because Bilam HaRasha said, this kid's going to take your crown one day. He said, nah, he's just a kid, he's just a baby. So they had Moshe, the little baby, see what he's going to pick. Is he going to pick the gold? And yeah, maybe he wants the crown and be the next pharaoh. If that was the case, if he was going to take the gold, they're going to kill Moshe Rabbeinu, little Moshe. They're going to kill him. Bilam wanted him to die, because he knew. Bilam had prophecy. He knew that Moshe Rabbeinu was going to kill him. And Moshe was going to grab the gold. Last second, as he's about, the little baby Moshe is about to grab the gold, Hashem sends Malach Gabriel to push his hand into the coal. He pushed his hand into the coal, touched the coal. What happens when you touch something hot? Reflex. You put it in your mouth. And it was a little tiny piece of coal on his finger, burnt his tongue. For the rest of his life, he was a stutterer. So Moshe Rabbeinu, the leader of Am Yisrael, worst speech in history. Both a stammer and a stutter. So how did he teach all of Am Yisrael Torah? Chazal tell us that when he would speak Torah, it would be Hashem speaking through his throat. Clear speech. Only when it's Torah though. Honey, what do you want for dinner? 50 times. 20 minutes, say, honey, what do you want for dinner? Torah, the entire Chumash. He wrote Chumash 13 times in one day and taught to everybody. All in one day. The whole Torah he taught to Am Yisrael one day. Can't do that with a stutter. Why? Kadosh Baruch Hu says, when you teach my Torah, different Moshe. Different Moshe. But the rest of the leaders that were not even the shoestring of Moshe Rabbeinu, that followed him, were all great speakers. motivating. Some were very clear, some were not. But nonetheless, they motivated people. And so we see here that Zionism, communism, both being almost the same, the isms of the world were constantly led by people that knew how to speak, which shows us clearly that speaking is a very, very big deal. Now, what happens when a person does not use their speaking for the right reason? Rabbeinu Yonah, in Sharet Tshuva, 800 plus years ago, writes in the third gate, section 211, the class of those who speak Lashon Hara is divided into 6 categories. The first category is one who ascribes a fault to another person when he has no such fault. Person says, this guy, yeah, no, he's cheap, but he's not. This guy, he doesn't keep mitzvot, but he does. Means you're a liar. He says the things that are not happening, things that are less than what they are. These organizations, no, they're not good. No good. This rabbi, no, he doesn't follow what it says. He just makes stuff up. Sometimes he may even ascribe a negative trait in place of a beautiful one that he really has. Meaning, sometimes this person is really good, but you're saying to people he's really bad. The opposite. This person's heart has gathered for him the attributes of 2 evil classes. The class of liars and the class of those who speak Lashon Hara. Meaning a person that does such a thing is not only someone that's speaking Lashon Hara, but it's also a liar. It's a different punishment. Different chamber. Different chamber. Everybody's got a chamber. He finishes his punishment for that one day. He said Lashon Hara one day. Not talking about Lashon Hara for his whole life. Lashon Hara for that one day. He said the rabbi is crazy. Okay. That's one chamber. You finish a sentence over there. Okay, now we go for the liar section. Different chamber. And that's just for one day. Finish that. You know, in the chambers they say, Ad Mea Ve'esrim, until 120. Tell you that. Right? Hopefully it ends after 120 years over there. Then Rabbeinu Yonah continues and he says, we have been admonished by the Torah not to accept Lashon Hara, lest it be false and a lie. As the Pasuk says in Sefer Shmot, chapter 23, verse number 1, do not bear false report. Shlomo HaMelech, alav Shalom, says in Proverbs 17:4, an evil person pays attention to the sinful speech, whereas a liar listens to destructive talk. This means that there are 2 classes of people who accept Lashon Hara. A wicked, malicious person, for they are all flatterers and wicked, who suspect innocent people and enjoy finding the fault in people, guilt and dishonor in their fellow man. There are some people like that. They look for what, like, you see, I told you there's a catch. See, I told you this guy's are this. You see, they always look for something bad in everybody. Like, good! Yeah, not interested. That's the news. That's the news. The news highlights the bad stuff in society. And some people do that with people. Yeah, you hear Shimon. Shimon bought a house. Yeah, but the house is, a house. It's a bad neighborhood. Yeah, but he bought a house. Say Mabruk, say Mazal Tov. Yeah, Mazal Tov, but I wouldn't want to live there. That's a person that finds a fault in everything. You see, Shimon just got married. Yeah, you see, big woman. Are you marrying her? He married her. Say Mazal Tov. Oh, okay, yeah, I guess. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. Everything, something's wrong. He has 2 eyes. You know, some people they look everything in rose-colored glasses. Everything is like soft. This guy's the opposite. Everything is black. Everything is like negative. Everything is negative. In people, not in himself. You see that Sarah just got married? Yeah, miskena. What do you mean? Why was she miskena? She got married. Yeah, I don't know this guy. Where did he come from? Does anybody know him? Who knows what he's going to do to her? Who knows? Poor girl, she doesn't know. What? Say Mazal Tov! That's what people are. Oh, you see they're expanding the house. Yeah, he must be doing something with that job of his, if you know what I mean. What? No, what do you mean? You know, I mean, how much can you possibly make being a plumber? Maybe doing something. A little plumbing with the IRS, maybe. Why are you inciting his cheating just because he has an expansion on his house? Why? Why? Black eyes. Black. Negative. Everything. Negative. Some people. Malicious people. That's one aspect. People that look and enjoy seeing the flaws in other people. And as soon as something that they said or thought or whatever they see that's wrong, see, I told you they're not going to make it, they got divorced. It's like he's happy they're getting divorced. He's happy the guy's going bankrupt. He's happy people are losing. Like it validates his evil. Such people, Rabotai, stay away from them. Run as far away from them. Don't even give them a second look. You know what happens? You give them a second look, you turn into Lot's wife, turn into salt. She looked back, turn into salt. Don't give those negative people, run away. Run! Far, far, far. Don't look back. Why? They're never going to change. You're not going to change them. You're not going to change them. All they do is they replace people, they replace friends in their life when people eventually get sick of their negativity. They find flaws in everyone. The second class, which is the liar, he listens and he believes the destructive talk. Since he does not distance himself from falsehood, he has no problem accepting lies and bearing false reports, and consequently he is quick to accept Lashon Hara. As it says in Jeremiah 9:5, a liar listens, meaning the person of falsehood, which is similar to your lodging is in the midst of deceit, meaning that the person is among people that are liars. So once a listener accepts Lashon Hara, Rabbi Yonah says in section 212, the law for him and the portion of punishment meted out to him is equal to that of one who spoke the Lashon Hara himself. For people will say, those who heard his words accepted them. This proves that they are true and accurate. Meaning that because this guy now listened to Lashon Hara, accepted the Lashon Hara, he's going to get punished like the guy that said Lashon Hara. People think, oh no, I don't want to speak Lashon Hara, but you know, Rabbi such and such. Because they always worry about speaking Lashon Hara. No, my friend, you listen to Lashon Hara, you accepted it, you believe what he says, you're going to get punished just like him. You're not even allowed to listen to Lashon Hara. Why? Because by listening to Lashon Hara, you're validating the speaker. Because the guy that's speaking, he's saying, look, if it was so bad what I'm saying, why would he listen to me? Why would 10 people listen to me if it was so bad? On top of that, other people that are standby over there, what did you just say to him? Go ask him what I said. Go ask him what I said. Oh, he already knows what you said, and he didn't say anything about it, he didn't say anything against it? That validates what you said, so just tell me, I'll believe you. By you being an audience to Lashon Hara, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, you get punished just like them. You're enabling them to make the sin. Even if the listener merely bends his ear and shows that he's attentive and accepting these words in the presence of others, this also abets the evil, causes the disgrace of his fellow man, and strengthens the hand of the one who brings his negative reports to others. Now Shlomo HaMelech said further in section 213, he's quoting Mishle 26:28, a subdued person hates a lying tongue, which means that a person who's humble and low-spirited and subdued hates lying. If you don't hate lying, that means you are not very subdued, you're not very humble, you're not very honest yourself. Because by nature, if you're an honest person, you hate lies. You hate a system of liars, people that are lying. You just can't stand it. You're allergic to lies. The Rav Kanievsky, Shichyeh, beginning of his Sefer, they ask him, what's the most difficult midah, character trait to develop? He says, midat emet. Having the character trait of truth, emet. Why? Because that means that not only do you have to stand for the truth all the time, but you have to fight the sheker at the same time also. You have to fight the lies, because you can't stand it. You're allergic to liars. So a person that hates lying, doesn't want it, is not willing to listen to it, he's pained when he sees such a thing. But a person who speaks Lashon Hara, but what about if he is not a liar? He just speaks Lashon Hara, or he hears Lashon Hara, but he's not a liar. Our sages reference him also, that he's in the class of those who speak Lashon Hara, and he will get punished by not having the merit to have the Shekhinah. He'll never see the Shekhinah. Even though they're not counted among the liars, they're still making a very big sin, to the extent where HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I don't want to look at you. And if one recalls to a person the evil deeds of that person, you remind one of your friends, yeah, you remember when you used to go out with that non-Jew? Remember when you used to eat taref in McDonald's every week? Remember those? It's a sin from the Torah. Not allowed to remind people of their bad stuff. Unless it's for help. Resourceful. Resourceful. Not even allowed to remind yourself of I used to be a murderer, I used to be a killer. Can't say Lashon Hara by yourself. Unless it's to help people. Tell your tshuva story of your bad sins, so you tell people, look, I'm not doing that anymore. But just tell people you're a wicked person, or tell somebody else that they used to be wicked, not allowed. You're not even allowed to remind a convert of his bad ways. Oh, remember when you were a goy, you used to go eat McDonald's? Forbidden. Not allowed to do that. How was it when you were not Jewish? Can you eat frogs? You ate that? It was good? Did you eat bats? Like the Chinese? You ate it? It was good? Not allowed to do that. Some people think, oh no, yeah, he's a convert, so I can ask him that. We're cool. I can ask him about eating bats. I don't know, I want to do. When you were in China, you eat bats too? How was it? Was it good? No, sin from the Torah. Sin from the Torah. Not allowed. People think it's not a big deal. Sin from the Torah. Go up to Shemayim, VENOM. Boy, what did I do? You asked him about the bats. But he really did eat bats. Who says you have to bring it up? Whether he did it or he didn't do it doesn't make a difference. Who said you bring it up? You brought it up, it brought his mind back to that. He started feeling bad about himself. Or worse yet, he started desiring eating bats again. Person has to be very, very careful with the words that come out of their mouth. If he embarrasses him for his deeds of his past, about this, the sages says in Gemara Masechet Bava Metzia, page 58b, the one who embarrasses another in public joins those who descend to VENOM and do not ever come out. He doesn't say 12 months here, Rabbi Yonah. If he relates and makes known the abominations of that person's sins in the presence of others, but not in front of him. He doesn't talk about his bad in front of him, embarrassed in front of him. He tells other people, Yaron, he used to do. To other people. Yaron's not there though. Reuven's not there. So he's not embarrassed. I'm not embarrassed in front of him. I'm talking about behind his back. If his intent is to tarnish his reputation and belittle him before his compatriots, concerning this, the Gemara Masechet Sotah, page 42a, says that the class that speaks Lashon Hara will not receive the divine presence. And the same applies to one who relates the former sins of a Baal Tshuva to others. So we see here, Rabotai, that, it goes more and more. There's several chapters about this and sections about this. The Rabbeinu Yonah talks about evil speech. I think it's at least 15 to 20% of the book. Talks about evil speech. Now, the truth is that without Yirat Shamayim, without fear of the Almighty, it is impossible not to speak Lashon Hara. In fact, it's so difficult to not speak Lashon Hara that when you don't speak it, it's either because you're crazy or there's just nothing, there's just like something really bad happened that's worse than this Lashon Hara. Because unless you're religious and you're scared to speak Lashon Hara, that's what people talk about all day. What's the number one topic of conversation? Other people. And the worst part about it is that people have lost all sense of shame whatsoever. When Adam HaRishon and Chava made a sin, they ate from the tree of knowledge. What was the first thing that they realized they made a mistake? The first thing that happened. They realized they were naked and they were ashamed. Meaning that they had, for the first time in their life, although very short, they realized that they're naked and they're ashamed. Meaning that a sense of shame is what makes you human. When people have no Yirat Shamayim, they also lose that sense of shame. That's the reason why they talk about other people non-stop, in front of them, behind their back, and about the most personal issues in the world. Like some of the craziest conversations in the world have become day-to-day talk. I'll give you a few examples. And I'm sure you've heard this before, and maybe you did or maybe you didn't find it ridiculous, but after today I promise you will. Because for the first time ever you'll think about it. First thing that people do when they meet each other. What do they do? What do you do for a living? Why do you care? Are you looking for an employee or are you looking for a job? Why do you care what I'm doing for a living? Do you know why he cares? Sizing you up. Who has more money? Who has more money? That's why he cares. Are you a customer? Are you a prospect? He's sizing you up. Oh, you're a doctor? What kind of doctor? Why do you ask? Why, you need a doctor? You sick? No, I want to know how much money you make. If you're a dentist, private practice, probably $150,000 a year. But if you're an oral surgeon, that's $800,000 a year. If you're private medicine, maybe $200,000. If you're a spinal surgeon, it could be as much as $1.8 million. Your job title tells me a whole lot about you. You're a mortgage broker. How long are you doing it? What do you care? You're looking for a mortgage? Why do you care how long I'm doing it if I can provide you a mortgage? If I'm doing it for 3 months, that means I'm probably, hopefully breaking even, maybe making $5,000 a month. If I'm already doing it for 10 years, this guy's doing good. It's probably at least $20,000, $25,000 a month. Why? He's got customer base already. Maybe I get leads from him, for my job, for my business. People have no shame whatsoever. They're prospecting you and pretending they're becoming friends. Worse yet, I'm going to give you only a few examples. We can't take this too long. This could be 5 years. Worse yet, the last one is going to be the worst one. Second, where do you live? Why, you want to come to my house? I didn't invite you. Where do you live? Oh, I live in such neighborhood. Oh, next to that? Oh, you're like GPS. You want to target exactly where? Why? Pricing your house. You know what the worst follow-up question is? You buy or you rent? What are you? My mortgage broker, my IRS auditor, my accountant, my lawyer? Why do you care if I bought or I rent? What information will you get out of it? If I tell you I bought, does that mean such thing? If I told you I rent, does that mean something else? What are you getting out of it? What? So if I rent, I'm homeless? I'm like a loser? And if I bought, then that means I'm rich? By the way, it's the actual opposite in many cases. People are so superficial and materialistic. I heard this weekend, of Shabbat, we're walking around with the little kids, walking around, I heard little girls that were sitting over there, little girls, they couldn't have been more than 12, 13 years old, asking each other, so you guys buy or you rent? 12-year-old girl never made $3 in her life, asking her friend, did you guys buy or you rent? Do you know why she said that? Because that's what her parents do with her friends. What does a 12-year-old care if you buy or you rent? What, she going to lend you money for rent? Or she wants to, buy your house? Like, what do you care if I bought or I rent? And I'll tell you the worst question, the most obnoxious question, the most disgusting question I've ever heard in my life. Now, only for the purpose of teaching am I even saying this. Because I hope the next time you hear this, you're going to rebuke the person that's doing it. Not in front of people, but take him to the side. Because this question is the most invasive, disgusting question I've heard in my life. Are you breastfeeding or not? Women and men feel perfectly comfortable today to ask a woman that just had a baby whether she is or not breastfeeding. Now, although this is perfect normalcy, this is the way of the world, what do you care? Why do you care what I do with my baby and my body? The most obnoxious, disgusting question in the world is asked millions of times every day. Millions of times every day. Why? All of these questions, and many much worse than these, believe it or not, they can't get much worse than this, are all because we've lost our sense of shame. We've lost our sense of shame. We speak freely. We say whatever manure comes out of our mouth. Whatever vomit comes out of our mouth. Why? No yirat shamayim. No fear of the Almighty. No fear of the things that come out of our mouth. We just speak, well, I speak my mind. You know, I say how it is, Rabbi. Yeah, in VENOM, they're going to do also how it is with you. Why? Because your words are hurting people. What if the guy is self-conscious? What if he's self-conscious about the fact that really he's renting, but, everybody else bought? What if he's self-conscious about his job? He doesn't want to tell you he works for the sanitation department. He doesn't want to tell you. He wants you to think that he's a businessman like everybody else. Even though there are many guys that work for the sanitation department making a lot more than businessmen. Why do you need to know this information? What if she's self-conscious about the fact that she chose to feed her child one way, not the other? What if she had breast cancer and she doesn't have the ability to give her kid breast milk? And you just reminded her of that. You know how nicely they're going to boil you like a barbecue in VENOM for that stupid question you asked your girlfriend? No, she's just my girl. I know her for many years. Who gave you the right to ask such a question? Well, I just speak my mind. Okay. Shamayim, they speak their mind also. Why? You didn't think. Now, why am I pressing this issue? If everything I just said came from an average person, mistake. Chatanu avinu pashanu. I'm sorry. I'm never going to do it again. I'm always going to think before I ask. But what if a rabbi asked these questions? In fact, not if a rabbi asked these questions. What if a rabbi said much worse than this? Is that as excusable as an average person? The Australian Times calls for an apology from a rabbi who likened child sex abuse to diarrhea. Who is this rabbi? A leading rabbi compared child abuse to diarrhea, saying it's embarrassing, but it's nobody's business. Meaning that somebody that was molested, it's embarrassing that he was molested, but it's nobody's business. That's what a rabbi said. What kind of rabbi is this? Rabbi is supposed to learn Torah. Have Yirat Shamayim, teach Yirat Shamayim. A rabbi is saying child sex abuse is not a big deal. This is inexcusable. What else did this rabbi say? In 2013, he says the following, and let me ask you a question. Do you sometimes forget to say Ala Mechiyah, which is the blessing after you eat? Because that's much, much worse than being molested. The fact that you forgot the blessing is worse than the fact that you got molested. Meaning you feel bad about being molested, you should feel worse about forgetting a blessing that the rabbi has decreed. Which is completely false, by the way. But he said this. Now, if a young girl or boy got molested, and he went to the rabbi for, please help me out, I'm traumatized. I'm traumatized. Somebody violated me, and there's no way to undo it. Instead of telling it, listen, I'm sorry it happened, this is horrible, what do you say? Why are you making a big deal out of it? Did you ever forget to make a blessing? That's much worse than you getting molested. How religious is that kid going to become now? Not so much. Let's see what else he said. Same rabbi. I don't know what the percentage is. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's hardly a kid who comes to a yeshiva program that hasn't been molested sexually. Meaning, he's telling somebody, is complaining to him, listen, Rabbi, I got molested. Horrible. Somebody violated me. What are you making a big deal out of it? Everybody that goes to yeshiva gets molested. There's hardly anybody that doesn't get molested. What a support system for the yeshiva world. Who is this rabbi? Who is this rabbi? How come we haven't mentioned his name yet? I'm cooking. If that wasn't enough, Rabotai Karim, he says the following. So I said this to the girl. He actually now himself is telling other people what he said to a girl that came to him after she was molested. Like, he's proud of what he says. And you can find all this online, by the way. It's not just your own tube. You'll find this online, B'ezrat Hashem, you'll see it. And he says it's in a lecture to the public, teaching. So I said this to a girl. Her family comes from Russia. And I said, what do you think? You're the only one that was molested? You think that your mother and your grandmother back in Russia made it through their teenage years without being molested by a shiksa? By a shegitz, by a disgusting man? So what? A girl got molested. He says, well, you don't think your mother got molested, your grandmother got molested by some evil guy? So what? He got molested. So what? They got molested. They stopped their life. They wouldn't. They wouldn't get married. They wouldn't raise a family. What are you so fragile about? What happened to you? If I was the girl's father, I'd murder him on stage, live, like Pinchas. Him right next to the molester. Why? Because it's very possible he caused more damage than the molester. Now, after this came out, it was all over the news, and they wanted an apology from this rabbi. But years have passed, 7 years have passed since. Almost nobody in the world knows who this story is about. Sadly enough, it's not surprising who it is. Manis Friedman is the rabbi in all of these. In February 1st, 2013, sex abuse victims sue rabbi over comments. The Sydney Morning Herald. You find this on the news. All of what I just said is in this article and others. Many, many articles. Any other rabbi that would have said such a thing would have been buried long ago and never been let to even have a YouTube channel. Now, am I mentioning it to bring shame to him? Partly. And I'll tell you why also. But I also tell you that there's another reason for it. You see, Rabotai, when you teach sheker, when you teach lies, there has to be a consequence. when you make fun of child molestation, when you make it as if it's not a big deal to molest children to the public, that means that you don't think it's a big deal, which means that your children will also think it's not a big deal. So is it any surprise that 4 years later we have the following headline in the newspaper in Pittsburgh? Day school teacher suspected of sexual abuse in Pittsburgh. Rabbi Nissan Friedman, 26 years old, and the son of an influential Minnesota-based Rabbi, Manis Friedman, molested no less than 3 kids, caught on Shabbat while in the act. As the article writes, we're absolutely certain there's at least 3 cases or more. When you make fun of the Torah, you make fun of the law of homosexuality, where Kadosh Baruch Hu himself writes it's an abomination, and you say, it's not an abomination. That means you don't think it's an abomination. That means that you don't think that child molestation is an abomination either. Because that's what homosexuals do, by the way. If anybody hasn't noticed, homosexuals are many times the child molesters. Child molesters are always homosexual. So when somebody makes fun of it and says, it's not an abomination, and people think, why are you making such a big deal out of it? He meant something else, Rabbi. He meant something else? Yeah, he meant that it's not a big deal. And his son got the teaching from him, and 26 years later, he was a teacher of a school and molested a few kids. You see, Rabotai, when we speak out against Reshaim, it's not for ego, it's not for money, it's not for popularity. It's to warn you. It's to warn you. Now you're going to say, wait a minute, but you've already said enough about these people. Why more? What is this? What new is this going to bring? You see, there's a rule in the Torah. It's a very, very serious rule in the Torah. That Reshit Chochma Yirat Hashem. The beginning of wisdom is fear of Hashem. And that's why the Chachamim and the Sanhedrin were very, very careful not to give people the death penalty unless they were certain that these people were murderers. If somebody was a murderer, the Sanhedrin, the wisest men of all time, would question, would get witnesses. And what if the guy that is being accused of murder didn't have any witnesses to support his cause, and he himself didn't have anything to say? Would they just kill him? No. The Sanhedrin would start looking for ways. Wait, did you kill him because you thought he was a Nazi? So you thought that you were under threat maybe? Because if that's the case, it's not murder. You were defending yourself. It's allowed. Did you kill him because he surprised you and you just weren't sure what you were doing? Did you kill him because, they're looking to get you out. They're not looking to kill you. The Sanhedrin are not looking to kill you on a capital case. Because if you're guilty, it's death penalty. But what about someone that has the accusal, is being accused of being a machtia rabim, causing people to go to Christianity, causing people to go against Hashem? What about him? Someone says, look, this guy is trying to get people to be Messianic Jews, really Christians in disguise. This guy is telling people that homosexuality is not a sin, it's not an abomination, it's nothing. This guy is telling people to go worship Buddha. Yeah. They're accusing you of this. After you brought to the Bedim, Sanhedrin, they kill you. So what does the Sanhedrin do with him if he has nothing to do to defend himself? Gemara, Masechet Sanhedrin, page 29a, says the following: Ve'en to'anim lamesit. The court does not plead on behalf of someone that causes people to sin, even if it's a capital case. Meaning, you don't have something to defend yourself, we're just going to kill you. Yeah, but the murderer, the guy that's being accused of murder, you helped him hopefully to try to get him out of it. But me, I'm just being accused of idolatry, and I'm being accused of getting people to go to idolatry, and that's it. You're not even asking, you're not trying to get me out? No. What? You're much worse than a murderer. Doesn't that sound evil? Only if you think God's evil. Where do we get this from? Hashem himself. The Gemara says we learn this from HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself. Amar Rabbi Chama Bar Chanina. Rabbi Chama Bar Chanina says, the instigator, the guy that causes people to sin, the mesite, is different than the potential murderer, the murderer. Why? We learn this from the merciful one. We learn this from HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself, where he writes in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 13, verse 9, have no mercy, nor shall you protect him. On this person, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, if a person causes people to sin, you are forbidden from having mercy on him. On the murderer, you're allowed to have mercy. But on a person that causes people to sin, no mercy, not allowed to have mercy. HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself writes it. Sefer Dvarim, the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 13, verse 9, where he says the following. It starts actually verse 7. If your brother, the son of your mother, or your son, or your daughter, or the wife of your bosom, or your friend, who is like your own soul, your best friend, will entice you secretly, saying, let us go and worship the gods of others, that you did not know, you or your forefathers, from the gods of the people that are all around you, those near to you, or those far to you, from one end of the earth to the other end of the earth. You shall not accede to him, and not hearken to him. Your eyes shall not take pity on him. You shall not be compassionate nor conceal him. Rather you shall surely kill him. Your hand shall be the first against him to kill him, and the hand of the entire people afterwards. You shall pelt him with stones until he dies. For he sought to make you stray from near Hashem your God, who took you out of Egypt from the house of slavery. Rabotai, a person that teaches things that are against the Torah, whether it be Christianity or it be some other false ideology, is worse than a murderer. And the Gemara says, this person, you're not allowed to have any mercy on them. It's forbidden. It's like eating pork, to have mercy on such people. You have to expose them until it's over. Can't give up. Can't stop. Why? It's mitzvah from the Torah. Mitzvah from the Torah. Where do we learn that we cannot have any mercy on these people? The Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin, page 29a, continues, says, Rav Shmuel Bar Nachman says in the name of Rabbi Yonatan, of Rav Yonatan, where do we learn this from? That the significance of the Machtia Rabim is so bad. Says we learn this from the serpent. Well, unlike Adam, when Adam said, Hashem says, what happened? Why'd you sin? Adam says, it's the wife's world, it's the wife that you gave me. He asked Chava, Chava, what'd you do? She says, it's the serpent, it's the snake's fault. But then when it got to the snake, Hashem says, Arurata, you are cursed. He didn't tell you why'd you do it. He didn't give the snake a chance to speak. Why? He is a Machtia Rabim. Once you cause other people to sin, you lost your right to speak. You lost your right to defend yourself. And this is why it's Alacha. Alacha in the Rambam. The Rambam, Ilchot Tshuva. Chapter 4. In Alacha number 1, the Rambam writes there are 24 deeds which hold back Tshuva. Meaning a person does such things, HaKadosh Baruch Hu make it more difficult for them, nearly impossible for them to do Tshuva. In Alacha number 2, the Rambam writes clearly, among the 24 acts that withhold tshuva, that hold back tshuva, there are 5 deeds which cause the path of tshuva to be locked. Meaning, no tshuva. There is no tshuva. What is it? 1 who separates himself from the community When they repent, he will not be together with them, and he will not have the opportunity of sharing their merit. Somebody that pretty much doesn't want to be part of Klal Yisrael, wants to live in some mountain by himself while the rest of the community needs him, doesn't want to be bar. That's terrible. Okay. We'll learn about that topic, why it's so terrible later on. 2. A person who contradicts the words of the sages. What? Abaye said it. Rava said it. Nah, they're just rabbis. What? Rabbi Nachman said? No. Rabbi said? No. I have a different opinion. No, I don't think they're right. Someone who contradicts the words of the sages without any precedent, without any proof. Like he just decides that this is not. Torah says it's an abomination, he decides it's not an abomination. Torah says this is a sin, he says it's not a sin. Torah says wasting sin is a sin, he decides no, it's not a sin. What? It's not for this generation. Such a person, Rabotai, contradicts the words of the sages. The controversy that he provokes will cause him to cut himself off from them, and thus he will never know the way of tshuva. 3. Someone who makes fun of mitzvot. Someone makes mitzvot. No. Fear of Hashem. Well, how can you? Were you afraid of Hashem? What, are you crazy? Afraid of Hashem? Why would you be afraid? Hashem owes us. We're in the exile for 2,000 years. It's our fault that he doesn't want to speak to us. Every Jew is going to heaven. You know, you've heard this before, right? Manis the Menace and the rest of the clowns that we talk about. To make fun of the mitzvot. Drol Kazuto saying, if your wife doesn't want to go to the mikveh, you can be with her anyway. She wants to go to the beach on Shabbat, go with her for Shlom Bayit. Or another case, he says, I think the Shulchan Aruch should be changed. It's not relevant to this generation, Drol says. Drol decided that Rabbi Yosef Karo wrote the Shulchan Aruch is not relevant to this generation. Drol decided. Drol, the bird, decided. Scoffs at mitzvot. He considers them degrading. Modesty. Come on, what? He will not pursue them or fulfill them. He does not fulfill mitzvot. How can he merit to do tshuva? 4. Someone who makes fun of rabbis. Someone who makes fun of his teachers will cause them to reject and dismiss him, as Elisha Navi did to Gehazi. In the period of rejection, he will not find a teacher or a guide to show him the path of truth. People don't like to hear the truth, so what do? They start making fun of it. This rabbi is extreme, he's fanatic. He says people that violate Shabbat are like idol worshippers. No, he didn't say it, he just repeated it. It says it in the Torah. A person that violates Shabbat is considered an idol worshipper. He just read what it says. You can read it yourself if you'd like. They like to make fun of rabbis. This rabbi always talks about wasting seed. You have a problem, Rabbi? Is that because you're talking? You're telling us your real feelings? How come this rabbi knows so much about this? How come they like making fun? No problem. Tshuva, gone. No tshuva. This, by the way, is the worst punishment in this world. Just so you know, not having the ability to do tshuva. 5. Worst yet. Soneh et hatochachot. Share lo eniach lo derech tshuva. Someone who hates rebuke, hates musar. Why? Why is someone that hates musar going to lose his way to do tshuva? How come this is so horrible? Because this will not leave him a path to do tshuva. The Rambam HaKadosh, 900 years ago, says, without rebuke, there is no tshuva. There is no tshuva. You cannot do tshuva without getting rebuked. Not possible. No, I want to do tshuva the happy way. Okay, Christianity. They make pretend. They make pretend like they did tshuva because they believe in Yoshke, why they murder people on a regular basis. Admonishment, the Rambam writes, leads to tshuva. Atochacha goremet la tshuva. When a person is informed about his sins and is shamed because of them, he will do tshuva. So now who in this generation dares to say they are smarter than the Rambam? Who says, you want to do tshuva, you have to learn Musar. You have to get rebuked. It's the only way. Who is brave enough to put their name next to the Rambam? Now you see, Rabotai, the Rambam was not the only one that taught this. You know who also taught this? Chabad. The very same Chabad that you hear, no, we don't teach Musar. Apparently Chabad does not read their own newsletters. January 19 to 25 issue, 2020, meaning a couple of months ago, in the Sipur Hasidi, Hasidic story issue of the Chayenu magazine that's published weekly. It's a subscription-based weekly Torah publication designed specifically for English-speaking community. Talks about different Sipurei Hasidim, Rashi, Chumash, Rambam, Tanya, and so on. They bring, in the Hasidic story section, they bring a story of the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, the one before the most recent, the 6th Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Yosef Yitzchak Schneerson, who once told a story about two brothers. One learned an enormous amount of Torah. Like his father, though, Rabbi Moshe, he favored learning foreign subjects, the Tony Robbins of the world, the Buddhism, philosophy, Friedmanism, all types of stuff. You know, he likes it. He likes the Manicism, all those isms, all those things. He liked it, but he was an expert in the Talmud. He was an expert in the Talmud, an expert in Rambam, in Arbat Turim, in every field of halacha. But because of his philosophical mindset, he sought to rule leniently everywhere, especially in the field of blessings, brachot. The blessing to recite for specific occasions. And what about Kabbalah and Musar? He was against it. He was against Kabbalah. He was against Musar. He liked the Gemara. He liked the Halacha. He liked the Bala Turim. He liked. But Musar, no way. Kabbalah, hate it. His brother, on the other hand, was not, his name was Rabbi Yehuda, was not as much of a scholar as his brother, as his father, or brother. But he had Yirat Shamayim. And he learned Torah, and he learned Musa. What happened with those two brothers? The latter one, Rabbi Yehuda, grew up, learned some Torah, got to a point where he was able to finance 10 Talmidei Chachamim to live on his property and teach his kids. Alvai Alenu, have 10 Talmidei Chachamim, teach Torah, he would debate with them and learn with them, and raise the house full of tzaddikim. What about the scholar that was an expert in halacha, in the Rambam, and in the Talmud, but hated Musar and Kabbalah? What happened to him? Became a kofer gamur, studying Torah while smoking cigarettes on Shabbat. Desecrating Shabbat and Yom Tov, eating tarif. But anytime you would see a rabbi or a poor person says, hey, Kvod Harav, come to my house, but you can't eat anything. Like he knew the law, he knew you can't eat at his house. But, against the law. Why? When you have no Yirat Shamayim, Rabotai, your whole Torah goes to the garbage. Your whole Torah goes to the garbage. Who is this taught by? Chabad. Chabad. This is an issue. A month and a half ago. So the next time your local Chabad rabbi says, no, we don't teach Musar, tell him, do you read the magazine, the Chabad magazine? The Rebbe says otherwise. Chassidut says otherwise. The Baal Tanya says otherwise. You know how many times the Baal Tanya mentions the word Musar in his Tanya? You know how many times the Chabadniks were experts in Musar? Why? Because what is Musar? Musar is to do the best you possibly can to purify yourself as a human being. Your character traits. What's Chassidut? Even more than that. Even more than that. Which means that without Yirat Shamayim, Rabotai, what ends up happening is that a person starts speaking whatever's on their mind. Things like, God needs us, we don't need Him. Why? Because He created us, therefore He needs. Manis Friedman.
We are familiar with God because God needs us more than we need Him. And that's why commandments, 10 commandments, that translation has ruined everything. As soon as you say God has commandments, He's no longer friendly. He's not the one who's needy. Now you got to watch your step because you violated a commandment. That's not Jewish thinking. Jewish thinking is, when God spoke to us at Mount Sinai, He wasn't telling us what we must do, He's telling us what He must have. The kind of world He needs and the kind of world He envisioned when He created it. So God revealed Himself. That's why it's called revelation at Mount Sinai. If we could get this into our thinking, into our educational system, we need God. If He created us, then who needs whom? How did we become the needy ones when He created us? So, well, don't we need to eat and sleep and drink? So, well, that's how He created us.
Said such things on a regular basis. Gehenna? No. How can you burn a soul? What will you do with it? How can you burn a soul? Manis Friedman said such things.
So what is it like to be in hell? There is really a serious, proper definition or description of hell. When you come home to your home, and you don't feel comfortable. That's hell. When you come to the place where you belong, and you don't feel like you belong, that is horrible. The burning in hell is not a fire with little demons with pitchforks. The burning in hell is the embarrassment that a soul feels when it doesn't know how to be a soul anymore. Some souls go back to the world of souls as if they never left. Completely comfortable being a soul. That's heaven. But when you're uncomfortable being a soul, because your soul is so used to being in a body, not being comfortable as a soul among souls, that's hell. How long does it take to readjust? Maximum 12 months. After 12 months, you're in heaven.
Every Jew has a complaint against Hashem. Why? We're in the exile for 2,000 years, suffering. It's our fault that God doesn't want to speak to us. Manis Friedman. Secular people have nothing to be ashamed of. It's not our fault God hasn't spoken to us in 2,000 years or 3,000 years. Manis Friedman.
God forbid. God forbid that God should be punishing us for our sins. Because when you don't talk to your children for 3,000 years, they forget some of the things you tell them.
Making fun of a poor girl that got molested. Every yeshiva person gets molested. What's the big deal? What happened to you? Why so weak? Manis Friedman. How can Chabad still have this Rasha Merusha hosted in their Batei Knesset on a regular basis? How is Chabad not coming out with video after video separating and distancing themselves from this menuval? How is that possible that this is the first time you have all heard of this? How could it be? How could it be that this secret, that wasn't so secretive from 7 years ago, is buried so deep that even the lawyers don't want to talk about it? That's how much money has been invested into hiding this. Now the video of everything he says, you can only find it in the black web. You can only find the audio of it, which they tried ruining also, but then you can find it.
The fear of an Aveda, the rejection of an Aveda, is a very potent medicine. And it has to be administered very carefully. I don't know what the percentage is, and I don't know if you've noticed, but there's hardly a kid who comes to a yeshiva, to a program, that hasn't been molested. Sexually molested. And all the children who have been sexually molested have serious emotional imbalances. And the question is why? Why? Just to make it dramatic, I'm talking to this girl who is very, very off the not off the desk. I mean, that's putting it mildly. She decided she hates men, she's going to be a lesbian, why? Because she was molested. And she's been going for therapy, and she's been talking about it. It's been close to 20 years that she's... So I said to her, you're not the only one who was molested. Yeah, oh, I was molested. You're not the only one yet. And let me ask you a question. Do you sometimes forget to say Al HaMikra? She's not keeping Shabbos. I said, do you sometimes forget to say Al HaMikra? She says, that's much worse than being molested. She was very upset. Until she finally calmed down. I said, look, you were 9 years old and you didn't do it. So what Aveda are you guilty of? You forget to say Al HaMikra, that's your Aveda. That's much more serious. So it doesn't bother you that you forgot to say Al HaMikra, but you can't get over the fact that somebody else did an Aveda? In other words, what happened is that we stopped being Jewish in our responses. We've all become psychiatrists. A kid tells you he's been molested, right away you're thinking, oh, emotional damage. What do you know about emotional damage? If a kid comes to you and says, I was molested, you open up a Shulchan Aruch and say, let's see, what's the Aveda? What does it say in Torah if you are inappropriately touched? You know what it says? It says, don't do that. Go home now. If a kid would come and say, this uncle or this counselor is touching me, really, don't go with him. Not nice. Not nice. That's all. There would be no damage. There would be no trauma. There would be no dropout. The problem is, we tell children how bad certain things are, and then we don't tell them how to handle bad. Miguel Rebbe had to write a whole Tanya to convince people, if you have a machshava zara, don't freak out, you're not a tzaddik. It's okay. You're going to have a machshava zara. You have a nefesh alikis, you have 10 keiches aliki, what? And you're freaking out over a machshava zara. What is it? You're giving Ra too much credit. I could open an office and be busy full time, just telling people who have been molested. So, nobody's allowed to touch you. What are you, holy? So you're touched. That's it. So I said to this girl who was really her family comes from Russia. I said, what do you think? You're the only one who's molested? You think your mother and grandmother back in Russia made it through their teenage years without being molested by a shaykhs? So what? They stopped life? They wouldn't get married? They wouldn't raise a family? What are you so fragile? What happened to you?
They invested a ton of money to hide everything I'm telling you. A ton of money. Why? That's what liars do. Now how do you come and say, I'm sorry, I said what I said, I'm an idiot, I'll never do it again? Guess what? I'll be the first guy to say, you know what, you admitted you're wrong. But you're hiding it, you Rasha Merusha. You're hiding that your son is a molester. 3 kids, you menuval. All these kids are traumatized for the rest of their life. You piece of garbage, you're hiding it? You should hide a poster on his face, molester. Why? Because those kids have that on their neshama for the rest of their life. You can't take it away from them. You're hiding it, you're making fun of it. You should be the first one that goes out with a lecture to say, I made a mistake in lectures and with my kids. What's the proof? Look what happened with my kid. What, you think it's a coincidence that HaKadosh Baruch Hu judged the measure for measure? Measure for measure, the guy's making fun of child molestation. Hashem says, look what I'm going to do to you. Your child's going to be a molester. And by the way, I spoke to a few experts in the field. They tell me that molesters are usually molested too. Amevin yavin. The people that molest were molested also. Rabotai, it's time we speak up against the Reshaim. Why? That's why you have a mouth. That's why you have a mouth. You're going to fulfill mitzvah, say brachot, keep Shabbat, learn Torah, all these wonderful things, fine. Do it. But if you're going to stay quiet when you know that people are going against the Torah, what do we need your mouth for? What do we need your mouth for? It's useless. You're only complaining what, about the internet connection? The economy is down. We have to use our mouth. We have to speak up. We have to do it because, unfortunately, nobody else is doing it. Not enough. Why? This guy is more popular today than he's ever been. The most absurd thing in the world. Every day comes out with a video, tens of thousands of views. People are watching him. No, he's the greatest mind of the generation. What? Did you listen to the words that he says? You want to rip your hair out. I don't even need to get haircuts anymore. I just rip it with my hands. I stopped watching. I can't. It's mind-boggling to me. But this is why you have to warn people. They don't even know what's dangerous anymore. Because they themselves have no shame. So they don't realize that speaking like this is wrong. Making fun of a molested kid, making fun of Hashem, making fun of the Torah, making fun of the sages. Rabotai, this is evil. And anyone who doesn't speak against it is also evil. Why? You're sitting there doing nothing while blood is being spilled. You're sitting there doing nothing while blood is being spilled. That's evil. You have to be able to let people know. They tell you they listen to these Reshaim. Tell them, listen, I know you listen to them. Don't take this personally. It's not against you. I'm just warning you. Here's a few videos. Listen to them. Make your own decision. You don't have to go crazy, start cursing the guy out and having venom coming out of your mouth. Don't make sins. There's no permission to make sins over this. But you have to let people know, take this video, share it with people. Listen, you listen to this guy, I just want you to know, before you press play again on his next lecture, this is who he is. This is who he is. This is what he did. You want to continue listening? Bechavod, you made your choice. But don't ever say, when you go up to Shamayim, no one told you. When your whole mind is distorted and you're more like a Christian than you are a Jew, and you go up to the Bet Din of Shamayim and they give you a decree of 1,000,000 years in Gehenom, Don't say, I didn't know. Why? I told you. I told you, you're listening to the wrong teachers. You're listening to the wrong people. Why? It's not a coincidence that a person that makes fun of God also makes fun of people that are victims. It's not a coincidence. If you make fun of God, of course you're going to make fun of people. And this cannot be a small mistake. Why? Number one, rabbis are not allowed to make such mistakes. This is basic humanity. 101. Human. Just being a human. Needless to say, a rabbi. 2, you wouldn't go out and embellish it and talk about it to other people too. Which means he was proud of it. As Rabbeinu Yonah says, a person is who he praises. Lefi ma'alalo. Ish lefi ma'alalo. A person is what he praises. You praise such behavior, that's because that's what you are. You don't think that molestation is a big deal? It's very likely you're a child molester. Why? Because a normal person hears child molestation, shrinks like a little ball of fear. Disgusted, reviled. Ugh! You ever see a little pure, beautiful kid? How could somebody hurt such a little beautiful, pure kid? I don't even care if he's Jewish or not. Just a little kid, what did he do to anybody? You're going to touch this kid, and then on top of it, after this kid gets touched, you're making fun of him? If that's not evil, Rabotai, what is? How could this stay buried? How could it stay buried? How? You have a mouth. You have to use it. That's the reality. And that's what the Chazon Ish says. There's a time and a place to use your mouth. Time to make mitzvot. Sometimes the mitzvah is a bracha. Sometimes the mitzvah is a rebuke. Sometimes the mitzvah is to stay quiet. Sometimes the mitzvah is to speak out. You have to know how to use your mouth effectively. Or else it simply becomes turning your number one tool into useless, into a weapon, into something that's just not good. Because you'll be judged for it, of not using it the right way. If you're only saying Lashon Hara with your mouth, that's not going to help you in life. Not in this life or the next one. If you're only complaining about your neighbor, but not against the Reshaim, it's not going to help you in life. It's very critical that people understand every single person needs to warn anybody that they know that listens to these Reshaim that we mentioned, because it's not about who these people are and they have more views or less views and what they have. It has nothing to do with that. It's the damage that they're causing. Someone that's a Machtia Rabim that causes the public to sin, as the Rambam writes, he is a person that Hashem closes the doors of tshuva. You can't fix stuff like that. Why? You cause people to leave Hashem. You cause people to think that there's no need to do mitzvot because there's no Gehenna. So why should I do it? You cause people, you can't fix that. And because of that, the Gemara in Masechet Sanhedrin says, we judge him harshly. We judge him harshly. No kaf zchut. No kaf zchut, no second chances, nothing. A person like that, they don't have anything to defend themselves. You have to go against them, no mercy. And I'm telling you, on the way here, I had a Yetzirah. This afternoon, I had a Yetzirah saying, come on, I'm going to bring this garbage up. You really think I want to talk about this filth? And then I realized, that mercy is Yetzirah. That mercy is Yetzirah. Why? Keep it buried. Keep it buried. Millions of people still don't know. Keep it buried. Can't keep it buried anymore. Mercy can sometimes be a bad thing. We learn that from Shaul HaMelech. Shaul was merciful on Amalek. Shmuel HaNavi says, you made a sin against Hashem. You weren't allowed to be merciful against Amalek. A person that makes fun of the Torah is Amalek. Being merciful on him is a mistake, is a sin. No, you don't understand. I understand. I read it. I have eyes. I have ears. Baruch Hashem, I have a brain. That's what he said, that's what he did, that's what his son did. HaKadosh Baruch Hu manages the world precisely. Rabotai, as much as I hate teaching about this stuff, it is a part of the Torah, and we need to learn it. Be'ezrat Hashem, next week will be much more encouraging topics for other good things. Not that this is a bad thing, but nonetheless, we don't have to go over this vile subject of Manis the Menace. We'll have a shiur Be'ezrat Hashem on Tuesday of our new series, The Era of Mashiach, on Tuesday, but there's no shiur on Wednesday. No shiur on Wednesday. We'll come back to this location Be'ezrat Hashem next week. We have Shavuot on Thursday Be'ezrat Hashem. So this is the time to learn as much Torah as possible. The biggest minhag that is critical for Shavuot is to learn Torah. Why? Because the day of Matan Torah, that's why it's customary not to fall asleep throughout the night and learn Torah the whole night. I don't know if they're going to do any programs in shuls anymore because of everything that's happening. But personally, I would recommend that if you are in New York area, like the hot areas, don't go to shuls yet. The problem is not gone. Places like Florida or other places around the country that didn't get hit as hard as New York, use your wisdom to decide whether it's worth it for you to go to shul or not. Because, the experience you'll get in shul, you'll be able to replace. But a life that's lost through a disease because you're not patient, you can't replace. And that's the thing. Guys that are in New York, I don't recommend going to shul at this point, simply because there's still a risk. There's still a risk out there, and it's unnecessary risk. Although everything is from Shamayim, still if you've already been away from it for 2 months, what's another few weeks? It's not going to end the world, especially if you have people in your house that are older and so on. There's absolutely no need for you to take a life risk, not with your life, not with anybody else's life. Stay at home, study at home, pray at home until further notice. Other places, again, it all depends where you are and whether it's worth it or not, and that's a case-by-case basis. Baruch Adonai Le'olam, Amen ve'amen.